operation is decreased referring to?
Subtraction. Mm, I feel
And
like
what
I'm
number are we
wrong.
subtracting?
Or
What number?
2 by
Nope,
4.
by 4.
So
Okay. The product is which math operation?
which um I don't remember. It
Well, can you rule any out? Like, can you tell me the ones it's not?
wouldn't be subtraction.
Okay.
I don't think it would be. I mean, addition. I don't think so.
Okay. And it's not division.
Okay, so it's
So
multiplication.
product of X and Y. So that means they're multiplied together. Is, when you see the word is, that always means equals.
Right.
So that's X times Y equals 20.
One. Okay.
All right. On to number 13. Okay. Very important that when you substitute in for variables, you substitute in for them in parentheses.
Mhm.
Okay. So like when you put the X value in, whatever the X is in our problem, you're going to substitute it in parentheses there.
Okay.
So that's 3 parentheses 4. Y is -2 plus -1 parentheses 3.
Okay. I'm just getting all this down.
Yep. And then we'll talk about how to actually evaluate it.
Okay.
All right. So order of operations, what do you do first? Do you do the exponent, the multiplication, or the addition?
Believe we remembering in class. I think exponent.
So you work it left to right.
It would be right to left.
No, you work it left to right. There's no,
Nothing. Okay.
it's not a choice. It's just do that. So the exponent first. The -1 to the power of 3, that means -1 times -1 times -1. What does that become?
-1.
Okay. Now multiply these three numbers together. 3 times 4 times -2.
12.
And you're
Mm,
welcome to use a calculator.
mhm. It'd be 12 and -6.
You're just multiplying 3 times 4 times -2.
Right.
You're not multiplying 3 times both of them. You're just multiplying the numbers together.
Oh, okay. So it'd be 3 times 4 times. I need to get that calculator.
Okay.
Let's see if I have it here. Oh boy.
You're really cutting into our time here. 3 times 4 is 12. What is 12 double?
12 double would be 24, so -24.
Okay, so we got -24 plus -1.
That would be just 25, -25.
-25. Okay, great. Let's go ahead and get that down. Move on to the next
Okay.
one here.
All right.
All right, so same numbers, but different expression. So we got again, you really want to write it as if the variable itself is in parentheses, 2 parentheses y squared, like that, just the variable, not anything else, just the variable. So this is 12 times -1 squared over 2 times -2 squared. So this time, order of operations, you have exponents, you have multiplication, and you have division. Which do you do first?
Think division, right? Division.
Yep, you always go left to right. Left to right. So which comes first?
E, exponents.
Yeah. So you have to do -1 to the power of 2 and -2 to the power of 2. Can you calculate those for us, please?
I didn't hear you.
Can
What you
you
say?
calculate those for us, please? -1 to the power of 2.
Okay. That would be -1 times negative. So
Okay.
-1
-1 squared means -1 times -1.
-1, which would be -1.
So
No?
no, dude. When you have two negatives, it becomes a positive.
Okay. It would just be 1.
Okay, times 1. Now on the bottom here, what is -2 squared?
2, so that'd be 4.
Okay. What is 12 times 1 and what is 2 times 4?
12 and 8.
Okay. And then these both reduce. You can divide them both by 2, and you can divide them by 2 again. You get 3/2.
Mhm.
Any questions on that before we proceed?
Mhm. So I'm trying to get a little with the pen with this word here.
Yeah,
It's exponents, multiplication, and division.
vision. Yeah, P is for parentheses, A is addition, S is subtraction.
Okay. Um, all right. 6, 4. Okay.
All right, number 15 here. All right. So we have to simplify each expression. So we have to deal with this -2x squared squared. So what that really is, and I think this will help you, is it's -2x squared times -2x squared. Okay,
Okay.
that's this part down here. What is, when you rewrite that, what is -2 times -2?
-2 times -2 would be 4.
4. Now, the rule for when you multiply x's with exponents is that if the bases are the same, and the bases are the same here, they both are an x, you add the exponents. So it becomes
Mhm.
x to what power?
4 if you add
4.
them.
Yeah, and then we're going to bring down the other stuff. We'll bring this down. So now you got x to the fourth times x to the fourth. Same idea, same base. So you add the exponents. What does that become?
Uh, 4. Do I have to the whole? Okay, so 4x, 8, eighth power y.
You got it. There's the final answer.
X to eighth power y. Okay.
Let me know when you get all that down. We'll move on to 16.
Hmm. Okay.
We're at 16 here. We're going to break this up into a kind of a table here. W squared, W, Z to the -1, Z to the fourth. Give me just a moment, please.
Mhm. Okay.
All right, I'm back. I apologize for the delay there. So the rule here is that you basically look at these in three pieces. What is 6 divided by 3?
2.
2. Okay, so that's going to go on the top. Now, when the bases are the same and you divide, you subtract the exponents.
Okay. So they'll just be W.
W to the power of 1. Now on the right here, you got to be careful how you do it. It's -1 -4.
Right. Uh,
What does that become?
I want to say -5.
Yeah. Okay. So now there's no negative exponents. So this becomes 2 times W times 1 over Z to the 5th,
Mhm.
which is 2W over Z to the 5th.
Okay. All right. Okay. 2W, Z to 5th. Okay.
Any questions on that before we proceed? All right, let's keep going
All
here.
right.
All right. So here you go. New problem here. Let me know when you're ready. We can work on this.
Okay. I have everything ready.
Okay. So you're going to distribute the this this you're going to distribute this negative to everything. So minus W squared minus 5W minus 2. And then there's really a 1 in front of the W there.
Right.
All right. So then you combine like terms here, 1W minus 5W. Those are
That'd
like
be
terms. Go ahead.
mhm.
What
Be
does that
negative
become?
6W.
Well, you got one positive here, 1W minus 5W,
That'd be 4.
negative
Negative
4,
4.
negative
Negative 4.
4W. Yeah. Now this W squared comes down, but it's negative. You typically put it in order. And then you've got
Right.
two other numbers here, 4 minus 2.
Give me one moment, just one moment.
Sure.
Okay, I'm back. All right. So we add these numbers?
Yes.
Okay.
4, positive 4 and minus 2. What does that become?
Be oof, minus -6. Where's
One's
the other
positive,
one?
one's negative. Shouldn't, I mean,
That'd be then 2.
it's 2, yeah, plus 2. All right.
Oh,
I mean,
okay.
it'd be great. It'd be nice to do more examples of these, but we just I know we got to get all the way through this, so got to kind of keep chugging along here. All right. 4A plus B times A minus 5B. What does that become? Sorry, I didn't mean to. I meant what's the math operation between them? What are we doing between here?
Trying to
It's
think of
okay if you don't,
everything here.
it's okay if you don't know. I'm just asking.
I don't particularly remember, so
Okay, so this is a product. What math operation is a product?
that was
We did that in
that
12.
was a what was it? Multiplication, right?
Multiplication, yeah.
Multiplication.
Okay. So this is what's called a FOIL problem.
Oh, foil. Okay.
Okay, and a lot of students, they remember it's the rainbow method, but it's the first times the first, the outside, you got the inside, and then the last. We'll do that together here in pieces.
Okay.
So 4a times a, what does that become?
4a squared.
4a squared, good. And then 4a times minus 5b, minus 5b. What's 4 times minus 5?
Uh, it'd be 1ba. I don't feel like that's right.
You're multiplying though. 4
Oh,
times a
multiply.
minus, you're multiplying. That's why
Um,
it's a product here.
negative 20ab.
Good. And then you got b times a. It's a little bit weird, but it becomes positive ab. You just put it in alphabetical order typically.
Right.
And then b times minus 5b becomes
Negative 5b squared.
good. All right.
4a
All right. So
squared.
then you can typically combine the outer and the inner. 4a squared minus 19ab minus 5b squared.
That oh, that's 19, right?
Yeah.
Okay,
Minus
19.
20 and positive 1 make 19.
Okay. And then
So
maybe
get this
okay.
down or get good notes down because 19 is really similar. I was going to have you do 19 on your own before we move on to the next page.
Right.
Um,
Okay.
so
Let me just get that down. Maybe. Okay. And then okay. Right. Okay. All right. 2x minus y. Okay.
so I'd like you to foil this and let me know what you come up with.
Okay. First, two. No. Two. B plus 2x y and 2y. And then okay, let's see. So I have 4x squared plus 2xy minus 2y
2xy.
minus 2xy minus
Minus,
minus y squared.
good. That is correct. Now this time, the outer and the inner, they cancel.
Okay.
That's your final answer.
Okay.
All right, so number 20 is a lot like the one we just did. It's just written in a different format. It's actually 2q plus 3 times 2q plus 3.
Hmm.
What does what no, so go ahead and foil this one as well.
Okay. Or- or- You. What's this? Okay. Think I have it right. So let's see. 4q squared plus 6q plus 6q plus 6.
3 times 3 is not 6.
Oh, that's 9.
Okay. The outer and the inner, they typically always combine. What does that combine to?
That would be 12q squared.
It's 12q.
12q.
You can't add exponents unless you're multiplying.
Okay.
All right, so get that down. We'll move on to 21. Let me know when you're ready to look at that.
I am. Okay. All right.
So in this one, you're going to divide each of the top terms by 2x. So this is a lot like an earlier problem where you're basically dividing 8 and 2, x cubed, x to the 1. Okay.
Mhm. Okay.
So what is 8 divided by 2?
4.
And then x cubed over x to the 1.
3 divided by 1, that'd be,
No, you subtract the exponents
I'll
when you're
subtract
dividing.
that. 2. X2.
X squared, okay?
X
So
squared.
do the same thing for this one.
Okay. 3. 3x.
Okay. All right, good. All right, we're gonna move on to 22. All right, 22 has a GCF, greatest common factor.
Okay.
So what is that greatest common factor? What do you see that all of them have?
3.
3 is not in all of them.
No,
There's
oh,
no
oh,
3. It's got to be in all of
1.
them, not just. Okay, what about the letter? What letter is in all of them?
X.
X. So this is x squared minus 6x plus 9. They all have an x, so you can divide each of them by x. They call it divide and slide, and that is it. Now, what's inside parentheses is something that you can factor. So
Mhm.
it's two numbers that multiply to 9, add to -6. two numbers that multiply to 9, but add to -6.
Okay.
What could those be?
9 to -6. Tough. The 1 and 9, 2, okay, 2, and then actually can't actually do that. 3 and 6
They've got to multiply to -9.
multiply. Okay. Oh, okay. Um, 3, 3. One of
So
those negative.
3 get you to +6. So how do you get to -6?
Make one of them negative.
They both have to be negative to get back to
Both.
+9. So
Okay,
that's
both of
x
them.
minus 3, x minus 3, and
Okay.
that's your final answer.
Okay.
Um, any questions on that before we move on?
What would be, I guess, a fast way to do those the little pyramids for the numbers to see what would
Well, I
add?
mean, we didn't do the full pyramid, but you just start at 1. You say, okay, 1 and 9 work. 2 doesn't work, but 3 does. You just go through the list of all the numbers until you get what works.
Okay. Okay.
All right, so 23 here is difference of squares. Do you remember us talking about that previously?
Cubes, not so much squares. I think we
A
did do
squared
some.
minus b squared.
Yes, I remember something like that. Yeah, it'd be two numbers.
This becomes a minus b, a plus b.
Mhm.
Got to have this formula down.
Right. Just,
So something squared minus something squared.
right, right.
So what squared gets you back to 9y squared? What do you square to get to 9? We'll say.
Mm,
What do you multiply by itself to get to 9?
3 and 3. So
So 3y, and then what do you square to get to 121?
I believe 11.
Okay.
No, yeah, 11.
Okay, so your a is 3y and your b is 11.
Hmm.
Okay. So um, how can we use that in this formula here? You remember doing that the other day?
Something, right? It would be 3y minus 11 and then 3y plus 11.
Good.
All right.
Right. So is 24 really a to the fifth minus b to the fifth?
24?
Yeah.
Yeah, 24 is a to the fifth minus b to the fifth. Right.
Okay. Um,
Let
there
me
is
just get
no
that out.
there's no
Problem down.
difference of powers of 5, and this one doesn't reduce either. Um, I have to look up a reference in this. I've not seen this problem ever, so that's pretty rare in itself. Um,
factor each expression. Okay.
Does it say if possible in the
It just says factor each expression.
yeah. So this one, I really don't know what to suggest. I'm just gonna write out the solution because I don't know how you're supposed to know this. So go ahead and get that down.
Mm. Okay. Oof. All right.
Okay, you got it down?
Mhm.
All right, so we're gonna go on to 25 here. 25 is more like 23. It's it's a difference of squares again. So let's do the easy one. What squared gets you back to 81?
That would be 9.
9. And then inside here ends up being x squared. So that formula again, a squared minus b squared, a minus b, a plus b. Your a is x squared, your b is 9. Could you rewrite that for us, please?
That would be x squared minus 9 and then x squared plus 9. So
Very
I'm
good.
gonna
And
write
then there's a bit more to do here. So this x squared minus 9 is also a difference of squares.
okay.
So what does that become?
We get differences. I wrote that down.
Yeah, go ahead. Well, it's just like we did before. See if you can figure out how to break that apart, please.
Okay. Let's get everything down. Okay. Be trying to so I'm a bit confused. So do I like I
Yeah,
don't know how to
what's the same setup. Something squared gets you back to x squared, something squared gets you back to 9, just like we did
okay.
in the previous, just like we did here.
Okay. That would be X. Okay, and then what would that be? 3, right? 3. And then X and then plus 3. Okay.
So I heard x minus 3 and x plus 3, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Right.
On to 26. So now you're looking for two numbers that multiply to negative 21, but add to negative 4.
All right. 21. That would be negative, say negative 11, but that has to be 4. Right.
So if you had a calculator, you could sit there and take 21 divided by 1, 21 divided by 2, 21 divided by 3, and so on until you figured out which ones work. And the fact that it's negative just means that one's positive and one's negative.
Right. Um, so I'd have 21 divided by 5 and I get 4.2.
Well, that one out, that one's out, that needs to be a whole number.
Hold on, okay. Nope. Okay, I think I tried. I'm not really getting anything that would be to 4 as well.
If you divide it by 3,
21 divided by 3 is 7.
say 7 and 3. So what if it's
Ah,
7 and -3 or
okay. That'd be top one.
okay, so this becomes x -7, x plus 3.
Okay.
Is that all right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All
All
right,
right.
now we're gonna skip 27. We're gonna come back to, we're gonna do 28. Same idea though, two numbers that multiply to the last, but then add to the middle. So let me put that in front of you here. So two numbers that multiply to 36, but add to -12.
Okay, this one. Okay. So I got 6 and 6. So it would be
So 6 and 6 get you to +36. How do you, what else might work?
you would make one of them a negative. The left one.
So
I believe
negative
so.
and negative.
Right, okay. We'll do that.
W -6, W -6.
Calculator. This is 28. Okay.
All right, any questions on that before we go back to 27?
Mm, So if how do I assume what would be a negative? Like we have two negative numbers here, but then we had one negative number last time.
Well, you get a positive, they're either both positive or both negative. Because I mean, those are the rules of multiplication, right? Positive times a positive, negative times a negative. That always gives you a positive. Positive times a negative, negative times a positive. That always gives you a negative.
Okay. All right.
All right, so this one's a little bit different. You have to take the first and multiply it by the last. 3 times 20 gets you to 60. So now we're looking for two numbers that multiply to 60, but add to 19. So it's kind of like I was telling you before. You take 60 and divide it by 1, 60 divided by 2, and so on until you find those two numbers that that work. and then add to 19. Is it clear what I'm asking you to do? Josh?
Yep, yep.
Okay, just making sure.
Okay, that could work. Okay, so it'd be 15 and 4.
Okay, so you're gonna write 3x squared plus 15x plus 4x plus 20. You're splitting apart that 19 into 15 and 4.
Okay, let me get that down. Okay,
Okay, now you're gonna find the GCF between 3x squared and 15x.
G, X
Okay, there is an x. What about the between the numbers?
two numbers. 3.
Okay, so you're gonna divide each by 3x, and you'll end up getting x plus 5 in parentheses there. And then you write it off to the side here as well. It kind of looks odd. It's like, oh, it's there, and then it's there. And you got to figure out what goes in the middle such that when you multiply in, you get back to the 4x plus 20. It's usually easier to look at the number. So what do you multiply 5 by to get back to 20? Or 4. So you're going to put a plus 4 there. And then you end up factoring again. It's x plus 5, and then you get 3x plus 4. That's your final answer.
Okay. All right. Now
So
let's do.
I don't have oh I don't know I do have
We did
so for the next
25.
one here,
If we don't have enough time, that's okay.
no, we got time to finish this. So I thought I lost my place of where we're at. So 29 here.
Okay.
All right. So it says to determine the excluded values, we're first going to factor the bottom. So x squared minus 6x, you always start with GCF factoring. What is common in that?
What common between them?
Yeah, between x squared,
Um,
x and
X. I would say X.
yeah, x. So you divide both of those by x. What does that become?
We just write this down. Get everything down. Divide that by X. We would get 6X and then in parentheses 6.
No, you're dividing them both by x.
Right.
Okay, so
Oh,
what
it'd
does
just
that?
be X. But so okay. X squared because okay. It would be
X minus
6.
6. X times x minus 6.
Okay.
Okay. So the reason
Mhm.
that's important is we have to set the bottom equal to 0 for the excluded values. So you're going to set x equal to 0 and x minus 6 equal to 0.
Okay.
And so on the right here, you add 6 to both sides. X equals 6. X equals 0. So these are the excluded values. So you're actually going to say x cannot equal 0 and x cannot equal 6.
Right.
right? And there's a bit more to do, but that's the start of it. Those are the excluded values. So the factored form here, if we just kind of bring this down, it's x over x times x minus 6. There's really a 1 in front of the x.
Right.
So those cancel, leaving what on the top?
Leaving 1.
The 1. So it becomes just 1 over x minus 6.
Mhm. Okay.
All right, go ahead and get all that down before we close out here today.
Okay.
All right, good job. Hey, thanks again for